I think it's a lot more fun in life when you get a chance to hang out with other people that are championing their own life and going for it. We've launched a Facebook group called Donnie Success Champions Group. Man, come hang out with us. Every day we are having uplifting, badass conversations that are just, helping people go further in their life. So if you want to, go to Facebook, come hang out, Donnie Success Champions Group. We'll be glad to see you. All right, guys, this is going to be a really, really, really fun episode. I'm having a lot of fun with bringing some of these different guests on here. So this will be a little bit of a twist today. I'm bringing on a musician from the Nashville scene, and so I'm sure I'm going to bust his chops about being a drummer. So that'll be fun. I'm sure he's caught it his entire career, but so I'm bringing on Rich Redmond, and that's going to be a lot of fun. But I'm Donnie Boivin. This is Donnie Success Champions. Rich, buddy, welcome to the show, my friend. Please.
How are you?
Good, man. Good.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I got my
coffee going and
acid coffee here. Acid.
Straight black, coffee, or do you doctor it up with all the foo-foo stuff?
No. I mean, I'll take it any way it comes, but I'm doing it with a little half and half today. So.
Oh, nice. So tell us who the heck you are for those who may have not heard your story or, heard your journey. Walk us through it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, I've been playing drums for 42 years. I'm originally from Milford, Connecticut, so I'm a little New England boy. I spent the first 10 years of my life there, fell in love with the drums. My dad ended up moving to we moved to El Paso, Texas when I was 11, got a job going across to Juarez every day. And he did that for 20 years, and he ran the factories that made Victoria's Secret's underwear. Kind of little nice little ladies just sewing underwear all day across the border. And then, and so that was a great thing for me because Texas has a strong culture of music education. It's a great state for music education, very healthy scene. So I kind of, nurtured my chops and my musicianship there. Ended up getting a master's degree from the University of North Texas, the Eagles. That's actually where the Eagles were formed. Then in dinosaurs roamed the earth, but in 1997, I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. And so I'm celebrating, 23 years or so of navigating of Music City, USA. And so, since day one, I've been playing drums for a country rocker, Jason Aldean. I just celebrated playing drums on 25 number one songs, which is really, really fun. We're working on our, 8th or 9th record, I should know. We'll be finishing that up, and then we're going to have a nice tour this year. Kane Brown is opening up for us. We're starting the year at Stagecoach in Indio. So that'll be a really fun year. And then we'll probably get into some other things, but I just have embraced the entertainment and education fields, and I do some speaking. I author. I do a little voiceover and a little acting out here in Hollywood. I like to mentor and educate. I have drum camps. I produce records, write songs. I'm in the game of entertainment and just loving life, man.
That's awesome. I mean, literally last night I went to my niece. She plays saxophone for high school, and they, I don't know, this whole floor program. But to start it off, they did the drum corps.
Yeah.
When I was going through high school, there's a couple of guys banging on drums. Nowadays, it's like an entire flipping show. It's insane what they're doing with these drums, and these kids were totally getting into it. Was that how you kind of jumped into this whole thing? Was it high school into the music game?
Yeah, I was at 5th grade. I was actually in 1976 or 77. I was 6-7 years old, and I was listening to Kiss records, and I was restless. My parents got me drum lessons. I was studying with a guy in Connecticut, and so I got some skills together. And so then when I was in El Paso, Texas, and I joined the 5th grade band, I was already ahead of the other kids. But I knew that, wow, I have this cool skill. It was an icebreaker. People were interested in me. It was a way to be socially acceptable, in that awkward period of your life, especially when you're going into high school and stuff. And so it was great. It was my calling. I recognized that in 1983. The Police came out with a record called Synchronicity, and then the very next year, Van Halen came out with The Smoking Angel on the cover of a record called 1984, and it resonated with me, and I said, this is what I'm going to do with my life. And then I didn't know about Malcolm Gladwell and the 10,000 hour theory of mastering a craft. Matter of fact, it's so funny. I was in my favorite West Hollywood eatery the other night, and I don't get starstruck, but Malcolm Gladwell was ordering a drink next to me, and he's a very unique looking individual.
Right.
But 5 bestsellers. I mean, his books, they just full. I mean, before you know it, you've learned so much. The book is over. I'm a big fan. Anyways, I was geeking out over that. I wanted to be like, Malcolm, high five. What do you want?
Everything you're not supposed to do when you
but I didn't. I just walked away, man. I left him. But I didn't know about the 10,000 hour theory at that time, but I was passionate about it. So when, you're passionate about something, it's so easy to work hard, and the harder you work, the more success you attract to yourself. So I already had those wheels in motion where I was just living and breathing drums, and I continued that all the way. I never missed a meal, man. There were some hard times, and I had some rough day jobs. I parked cars, I was a courier, I did construction, I was a waiter, I was a kindergarten teacher, substitute teacher, and schlepped drums all around the planet and lugging suitcases. I figured recently that I haven't unpacked my suitcase in 22 years. I've been living out of a suitcase for 22 years. The only time I truly unpack is when at the end of the year, our touring season is usually over in October, and I will just take everything out of the suitcase and put everything away, even though I know I'm going to be putting things back in there to go do freelance things or speeches. But my touring cycle now has become like we tour April through October, which is wonderful. We do about 60 shows a year, but we used to do 225 shows a year in the early days of Aldean, like in 2004, 2005, 2006. We lived on the road, man. It was incredible.
And that's a wild lifestyle too. I mean, so how did you go into the Nashville scene, and how did you hook up with Jason Aldean? I mean, was it a tryout? Was it a call? Or would you guys just happen to be drinking the same bar and say, let's put this together?
Yeah. It's funny to hear people's stories and see how their success comes together, but it's the perception of the music business is that it's an audition-based industry. And I think that, 99% of your guests, that are all speaking on success are going to say it's about human relationships and interacting with people and championing each other and lifting each other up and having birds of a feather come together. And I was playing in a band with a guy named Kurt Allison, who is our guitar player to this day. And so I've been playing with him for 23 years. I had a gig with him and his dad in a band called the Blues Other Brothers. And we had like a Vegas style review where we did like Motown and Stax Records kind of things on warp speed, all that stuff. And then he introduced me to this guy named Tully Kennedy, who was our band leader and our bass player to this day. Tully Kennedy's uncle was writing songs at Warner Chappell Music. Michael Knox was the VP at Warner Chappell Music, and who is Jason's producer to this day. Michael said, we need a band. Tully said, Kurt, a drummer, Kurt championed me. We brought the three of us together, and it's like, peanut butter, you put your peanut butter in my chocolate, your chocolate. It just worked. And like to this day, I don't know, we had, I guess, too many Irish coffees, but we call ourselves the Three Kings, and we kind of branded ourselves that way about those three knuckleheads that went everywhere together for a decade. And we ended up just playing with Jason Aldean, becoming great friends with Jason Aldean. So I think I had to have, there was a loose audition, which meant me learning the material, going in, me knowing the material was a given. I was going to do a good job for them. I did a good job for them, but they wanted to see if we could all, if Jason was going to like me. Because when you're living this lifestyle, you're on stage maybe 2 hours a day, and there's another 22 hours a day that you're riding a 45-foot tube. And then you're sleeping on airport floors. And I'm about to put out a book next month called Crash Course for Success. And literally one of the photos is all of us crashed out on the airport floor. And the caption is, touring is hell on a sleep cycle.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of how that all came together, man, in a very organic, human, relationship-based way. And the music industry is not for the faint of heart. It's, it's tough on relationships. It could be tough on your health. So it's nice to be able to go through such an industry with like-minded people that, you finish each other's sentences and you're part of each other's, wedding parties and look for staring at almost like 5 presidencies later. And
a few more gray hairs later too.
Yeah.
Right?
And this is by choice, man. I was, I had a lot of wives and girlfriends that were hairstylists, and so it was pretty easy to get my hair painted black.
Right.
And then one vacation recently, I just said, I'm going to let this go.
Well, I
And
keep telling my wife, man, I'm not getting gray hairs, babe. This is chrome.
it's it's very invigorating. It's really fun.
Right. And a lot of people look at like the music industry or the acting industry of all that, and they always are on this whole thought process of this overnight success type thing. And it doesn't matter how many times you tell them an overnight success is a myth, right? There's a lot of damn hard work. There's a lot of freaking late nights, airport floors, and everything else. I mean, how long were you in the game before you felt like, okay, I'm finally, in my rhythm and things are working?
Yeah. Well, my story was I moved to Nashville on a Tuesday with a box of 400 cassette demos. Rich Redmond, drums and percussion. And I was passing these things out everywhere, and I had before the EPK, you would have like a folder, and it would have all your press clippings in it. And it was so archaic. And, I always had a Vistaprint business card. I was a pretty savvy self-promoter. Still to the day, no one is going to champion you like yourself. No one is
Right.
going to champion you as much as yourself. So you have to be politely persistent and maybe have some luck along the way. But luck is just being prepared for those opportunities and also giving yourself a shot to be successful in the music business. People are like, can I do this from Des Moines, Iowa? Can I do this from Tallahassee, Florida? No, you can really only be in three places, and New York City really has kind of become, you do Broadway and then you can play weddings and bar mitzvahs and, make pretty good money, live out in Long Island, come into the city. Los Angeles, I'm here a lot. I have a love affair with Los Angeles. I do business out here. But if you're not doing music for TV and film, and you don't have a big touring gig, the actual music scene in Los Angeles really isn't the healthiest. And then you have a place like Music City where people are like, well, what about Austin, Texas? Austin's great. There's a lot of great live music going on, but it doesn't have the big machine, the infrastructure of, okay, a song is written at 10 a.m. on a Monday. That song has to be demoed up. And so there's a group of musicians that play on the demo, and then someone's got to play on the record, and then a live band has to be put together. And then around that, you have tour managers, graphic design artists, web designers, truck drivers, caterers, that whole industry. There's so many jobs and you need all those things to make that Taylor Swift show work. And that's why she called her label Big Machine, because we have the big machinery, that infrastructure that doesn't exist in like Austin, Texas.
Well, but and I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people are looking at it as, I sing, I play drums, I play guitar, I'm just going to show up and it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's a production. I like the term big machine.
It's really an amazing name, for a label. But no, your skill set is having an incredibly well put together, cultivated skill set is an expectation. The other thing is giving yourself that chance to be successful, which is going to a place like Nashville, Tennessee, and then getting out and shaking hands and crashing parties and letting the world know you exist, because there's some amazing drummers that are probably better than me that are playing in their mom's basement. But you have to take your music to the people. You have to connect with other people. Those gatekeepers, especially someone like a drummer is only as good as the people that they're surrounded with. It's a really strong and important and powerful position in a band. But usually, unless you're like a Dave Grohl who's writing all the material, we're only as good as the person that we're surrounding ourselves with. So my story was I moved to Nashville on a Tuesday, and by Wednesday I was booked. I had a gig on a Saturday night. I was playing with like a corporate band, and you're playing jazz and the salad's coming out, and then you're eating the main course and you're playing Motown. And by the end of the night, everyone's biting their upper lip, clapping on 1 and 3, and dancing to disco songs from the 70s, but that was great because that's what opened my door to my Nashville family tree of shaking this person's hand. They championed me. They recommended me to someone else. And it's still happening to this day. And you're never done paying your dues, because I never want to be that guy that says, oh, I've made it. I know everyone in the industry. There's new people coming to Nashville all the time. And what I do is I meet that new talent. And now I'm on the other side of the business where, if you're in Nashville long enough, eventually you're going to start writing songs. You're going to start producing records. I opened up my own record label. I have my own record label, 1225 Label Group. And so now I can nurture new talent, right? And through my eyes and my experiences, I can give them a positive experience and be an artist friendly producer and label owner.
No, that's awesome. Well, keep your eyes then on Fort Worth, Texas, because there's a lot of awesome local musicians coming out of here right now. You know, so you know, what was it like? You know, up there performing with a guy like Jason Aldean, and depending on some circles, you love him, you hate him. You know,
Yeah.
you know, what was it like being up there playing for massive crowds? You know, living that rock star life. With the spotlight, the craziness that happens on the road, just because I have some buddies in the game. I know some of the fun stories, but you know, what is that? What is that like? That experience like for you?
I mean, it's my happy place. I think that, I was, had these callings in life. And I think, my God, my higher power gave me this talent, and I respected enough to nurture it and mold it, and then be able to have that connective tissue. The connective tissue are all the guys in my band that will allow us to express ourselves. I think music is one of our highest forms of communication. It's truly a gift. It transcends all cultural barriers, language barriers. And, but no, when I'm up there and pyro's going off and the sea, I mean, that is just like, oh my God, this energy, I'm receiving energy and I'm putting out energy. And I always tell my students, I say, look, if you want to send your energy, not to the person there in the expensive seats, they're already the true believers. You have to send your energy out to the cheap seats and the guy that was dragged there by his girlfriend. You make that guy a true believer. My goal is to have that guy go home that was on the fence and go, man, that's the best damn drummer I ever seen in my life. And then
you got to say it in that voice.
Well, that was my attempt at a Southern accent.
Oh, that's awesome.
But no, it's I don't want to say that the drums define me, but it's such a God, it's such a calling. When I see a set of drums, even like I'm going to like a nightclub or I'm at a wedding or something, and there's a set of drums in the corner. It's like I focus on that, man. I want to go play those drums. It's just a calling, man. So when I'm on stage, it's like, dude, I'm meant to do this. And then it's like a drug, and you're always looking for that next opportunity to do that same thing.
Now, do you do the same thing when you're speaking? Because that's how I feel when I'm on stage speaking. Is it's the same thing. I want to hit the people that are in the back going, nah, this guy's nothing. That the skeptics.
Yeah,
those are the ones that I love. That it's the same thing for you when you're
sure.
speaking.
Yeah, and for me, when it comes to speaking, it's not so much the power of the words and the concepts I'm saying, because what I speak on, my crash concept, commitment, relationships, attitude, skill, and hunger, it's basically a way of reminding people, yeah, you can have your corporate philosophies, you can have your PowerPoint, and you can get lost in all of this corporate stuff. But I'm there to remind them everything I need to know in life I learned in kindergarten.
Right.
Basically keep it simple and work on, I like to do everything in 5, like commitment, relationship, or power, or, I wrote an ebook called 5 Keys to Drumming Success, so people can remember it. But for me, it's really like how I'm articulating the message. It's almost people are like, what is your event about? And I said, well, just picture like Animal from the Muppets meets Tony Robbins meets Jerry Lewis, right? So it's almost like I want to present this in like a very energetic fashion. I'm sweating, I'm pacing, I'm cracking jokes, I'm playing the drums, and then I'm speaking, and then I'm playing the drums, and then I'm speaking. And so it's like how I'm giving people that information, because I don't know if we're going to give people too much credit. Like I tell people all the time, people hear music with their eyes. Most people don't know. They're not really educated musically. So I say, we have to give them a show, or they could just listen to their MP3, right? And their little MP3 device and these little things right here. It's like, if they're going to spend all that money, get a babysitter, pay for parking, brave the crowds, buy a $15 beer, dude, I'm going to make this a memorable experience.
Well, and I hope everybody heard that, because you have to. I mean, especially if you're going to make it in this day and age and whatever you're in. I also remember there was a acapella show on TV, and one of the Boys to Men guys was one of the judges.
Wow.
And it was a really, really cool show. And there's a country music group that won one of the episodes. That's a completely acapella country music group. Home Free, I think is the name of the group. But, I think it was the second or third season, they had this college group on, all acapella. and they were in the final episode, and whoever won this episode won the whole show. And the song was "Take Me to Church," and it was done a cappella. And man, they had the littlest dude in their college. I mean, this guy, if he was 5 foot tall, I'd be amazed. And they said, we picked him to sing the solo in this because he's got that voice. Dude, this kid, and I get goosebumps thinking about this kid singing. I mean, he sang it, and he left it all on the stage. And when he was done performing, man, he dropped to his knees in pure exhaustion. That's how much he put into this song.
I love it, and that stuck with you, and you remember.
Absolutely. I mean, even the Boys the Men guy, I wish I remember his name, but who was a judge, looked at him and goes, that's why you just won. Because you put everything you had just in that song. But, I think it was Bon Jovi that said, when you go on stage, you've got to perform like this is your last performance.
Oh, I always say that. Yeah. Go on stage like this may be the very last time. 1, 2, 3. That's how I'm going out, man.
Right.
But yeah, and just think about that amazing singer and the talent that he had and that commitment to his craft. Who knows? He may be killing it in the industry right now from that initial push of success that he had with that show, or he could be back working his day job. He could still he moved it back in with his parents. I don't know. It's like just having the talent is not enough. You have to mold it, and then you have to get to a place and get to some gatekeepers that can actually allow you, give you permission to do what you do. Because I've had some very successful people that I've known that have been raised every hair on my body. Like one a girlfriend of mine that comes to mind that was just such an amazing singer and still is an amazing singer. But to create that emotional reaction from me when I would play with her, I would shed a tear. Every hair on my arm would stand up. So powerful. And things really didn't work out to the extent that they should have. And there's so many other factors involved in cultivating success long term in your life.
Wanted to jump in here and take a second to let our sponsors tell you a little bit about what they do. Guys, do me a favor and check them out. They're really helping this show become what it's becoming.
Support for this podcast comes from Point Blank Safety Services and Blue Family Fund. Point Blank Safety Services does safety differently. We know everyone is on a journey, and we want to make sure you get where you're going safely. Professional, trained, ready. There's really no comparison. Here's why hiring Point Blank Safety for your next project will make all the difference and save you huge amounts of stress and hassle. Point Blank Safety Services provides certified, uniformed police officers for a full suite of armed guard services. Don't leave the safety of your project to chance. If you're ready to make sure safety truly comes first for your next project, then visit us at pointblanksafety.com. Blue Family Fund, helping dependents of law enforcement families on their journeys. Blue Family Fund is a nonprofit that raises funds and offers financial support through higher education scholarships for dependents of law enforcement officers and by providing financial assistance for families of fallen law enforcement officers. Every dollar donated will go to the families of police officers, either through scholarships to dependents of police officers or as aid to fallen officers' families. Visit us at bluefamilyfund.com.
And now back to the show. Yeah, I'm going through David Goggins' book right now called "You Can't Hurt Me," and dude, that guy's a beast. But in his book, he laid out something that once he said it, I'm sure I've heard it other times, but it was the first time I heard it put this way. What he says is, most time when people look at accomplishing a goal, they're sitting in their soft, comfortable house. They're sitting on their soft, comfortable couch. They're probably drinking in a very comfortable drink, watching a TV show, dreaming about that life that could be, right? Mm-hmm. So it's very, very capable of doing. They're not thinking about, and he's talking about running 100-mile marathons and stuff.
Wow.
Right? And he's like, people are like, I want to run a marathon. Well, you're sitting on your soft couch, drinking your soft drink, drinking, that simple lifestyle. You're thinking about the end. You're not thinking about all the things that you've got to do to go through it to be able to get there. And it's the same thing with what you're talking about is you've got to literally be thinking about where am I going through and then realize that you're going to have to go through a lot of crap, and do a lot of things to actually be able to get there and get lucky breaks. And what I mean by lucky breaks, and you said earlier, is by putting yourself in a position to find and make luck happen.
Yeah. Luck favors the prepared. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I use over preparation. I use over preparation and hustle as a business model. Like some people have found success at a younger age. Some people have found success easier. Some people found success and it has gone away. Like my trajectory has been, I've always had the raw talent. I honed that raw talent. I had a vision. There was roadblocks. There was door slams in my face. No, no, no. And I would get success and that would lead to more successes. And it was just the slowest of all climbs. And I'm still working on achieving all of my dreams. And it's just been very difficult for me. It was not easy. There was a lot of no's and a lot of setbacks. But if you use those setbacks to fuel your victories, you'll be rocking. So, like for me, I wrote down my goals in 1997 when I moved to Nashville. It was I will be a top call touring and recording drummer based in Nashville. It was one simple sentence. Create some sort of very succinct one or two sentences that could be your mantra, and put it in places where you can reiterate it every day. Say it to yourself, especially before you go to bed at night when you get up in the morning. And I would do that, and I would take all the necessary steps to make that happen. And so I started making a living playing with various artists, hundreds of artists. And maybe out of those hundreds of artists, maybe 10 are still in the industry in some way. And of course, I had to find my Jason Aldean. And when I say my Jason Aldean, I mean he was my Sting, he was my John Mellencamp, he's my Bono, he's my Billy Joel. He's my front man that I could hitch my wagon to and cultivate a long-term career. I had to find that guy. I found him, you know?
Right. I mean, was country music the direction you were always heading? You know, because you sounded like you grew up more on the rock side of things.
No, I just tell everybody I'm an overeducated rock drummer. Actually, I have experience playing so many different kinds of music. Obviously, I fell in love with the Police's music, which is, you know, reggae and world-inspired pop rock, and then I love, you know, just knuckle-dragging rock and roll like Van Halen, you know. And but I played so I did the marching band for 8 years, and then when I was in college, I did steel drum ensemble, world music ensemble. I was in the pep band. I was in the jazz combo. I was in the new music ensemble. I was in the symphonic band. I was in the orchestra. Anything I could do to play music, and I could read music, and so I played every style of music under the sun. And when you mix all those things together, you can kind of create your own kind of style. And then the other way I was able to cultivate a style was having an outlet, like playing music on the world stage, where you know, God, with Jason's music, we mixed up detuned guitars and, you know, drop tune guitars and big drums and storytelling and kind of like restructured the fabric of some of the music making that gave permission to for Luke Bryan to do his thing and Florida Georgia Line to do their thing, and then there was the rap elements, and so just all my influences came together in this style, and then having an encouraging boss like someone like Aldean and his entire team to say, Rich, you be the drummer you want to be. You know, they encourage our creativity. So man, it's been incredible. But I did play a lot of country music, like in Dallas Fort Worth. It was awesome. Right. I was in like country bands all over the Dallas Fort Worth area, but I was also in like fusion bands, playing big bands, getting my master's at University of Texas, playing Frank Zappa music, and down in Deep Ellum, and I was playing like alternative music, playing congas in bands and stuff. So I love music. But yeah, we just have an encouraging team that allows us to.
That's awesome. That's, you know, it's important to be a part of a team that allows that creative freedom to flow, so you can just be yourself. You know, how did this all, you know, transfer into now speaking on stages and writing books and all of that? I mean, you see some people make an attempt at that world not well, and you see some people actually make it. What made you want to go that direction?
So, well, I have a teacher's heart. You know, I've always been a teacher, and I feel like as soon as you're good at something and you can stay one step ahead of the students, if you have that bone, that mentoring, that educational bone, it's a really powerful thing to do. So I love that, and so I've always taught. And then as we were cultivating Aldean's career, during the day, every day, I would go and I would teach at a high school or a music store or a college. And I was developing a reputation as an educator. And then doing that event, I started incorporating some motivational elements from, my love of, the law of attraction and Zig Ziglar and Napoleon Hill and Tony Robbins, and studying all these great thought leaders over the years. So before you know it, my drum events started to take on a more like motivational. So I say I mix music and motivation, and it's educational, it's entertaining. So I'd say, tell people it defines edutainment. And then that grew into someone from corporate America. A good friend of mine, Anthony Grady, worked at a company called Cisco, and he saw one of my speeches one time, performances, and at a small little drum shop in Raleigh, North Carolina. And he said, dude, there's 5 people here. You should be speaking in front of 50,000 people. This is really strong messaging. It'll work for anybody in any field. I was like, you're right. Let's do this. He goes, yeah, I'm going to get you booked at Cisco. And so he got me booked, and it went over smashingly. And then I've done 10 events for Cisco. And then I grew that into like Hewlett Packard and Presidio, Microsoft. And you just grow that same way you develop anything, one handshake at a time. And it's all the sweat of your brow and cultivating a good reputation that precedes you. And then I wrote a book for kids called Fundamentals of Drumming for Kids. And that's cool if you have like a 5-year-old that wants to learn how to play the drums, or a 50-year-old cousin that acts like a 5-year-old, the book will work for them, And then so I said, okay, I've been speaking on this crash concept for like 13 years. I need to put out a dang book. And I'm about to do it. And it's just, I think that once I get that non-drumming book out, my first motivational book, hopefully it'll be popularly received, and that'll just inspire me. And I'm going to just keep cranking these things out. But I think it's just follow through, just having that vision and just not stopping until you say, you're like, okay, I want to be an internationally recognized speaker. I want to do no less than 2 speaking events a month. That's my new goal. Is like, without fail, I want to be speaking twice a month, 24 times a year, which is daunting around what I already do, because if I'm playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday in Middle America with Aldine, and then that means I've got to somehow book Sunday through Wednesdays to do my speeches, So, but just having that vision and then having that follow through and not stopping.
No, that's awesome, and it shows a lot of your grit, and it shows a lot of your tenacity to not reinvent yourself, but almost create a whole nother business model for yourself that is out of the norm. I mean, you're in a sense creating your own side hustle, and I hate the word hustle, but
yeah,
your own side business as you're going through this still successful career and everything else you're doing. So when you're speaking, I've seen people incorporate guitar and motivational speaking. I haven't seen the drums. That's got to be a pretty powerful, message when you're able, because with the drums, man, you can really hit somebody in the heart with it and get them to move. Is that why you're really incorporating the both?
Well, I think it's people love the drums. It's man's first instrument. We're just like biologically through our DNA drawn to the drums, and a guitar is way more portable, and people love the lead singer with the guitar and all that. But if you can just get past you need a set of drums for your speech, I was like, I don't, but you're gonna like it better because it's a way for people to see the physical manifestation of my passion. It's the passion personified. When they see how I can connect with that instrument and use it as a form of communication and a form of expression, they go, oh, this is what this guy does. He travels the world so he can get on those set of drums and create that energy to lift up his band and bring these songs to life and be an entertainer. And I say, if you take this level of passion that I have, the sweat of my brow, and I'm drenched, I say you can accomplish anything you want to accomplish in your life, And so they go, oh, okay. And so, like my friend Mike Rayburn is like a comedian and a guitar player, and he does motivational speeches. And then my friend Freddie Ravel, he's like Earth, Wind, and Fire keyboard player, and he plays piano and does motivational speeches. And then really the only drummers are me and my buddy Mark Schulman. He's Pink's drummer. And so if I can't make a speech, I send Mark. And if Mark can't make a speech, he sends me. And so we look out for each other. Really, there's only like 2 of us really like playing that are like motivational speakers that play drums on a high level. And it's a small group of us kind of looking out for each other that use the music thing as a hook.
No, I love it. I can like bang on top of my desk, So if you need another motivational speaker for the drums, how about I just come speak and you drum? All right.
I love it. We can do some double events together.
Right. It'll be fun. A lot of people get hung up on this whole phrase of motivational speaker. Even when I say, I'm a motivational speaker, people get hung up on it because they're like, motivation doesn't last. you go get fired up at an event, go get charged up, and then Monday happens.
Right.
What are you teaching in these things that are, those tangible take homes that people are like completely applying to their life and are action items off of your speeches?
Yeah. Great point. I've through my teaching and all my little drum camps that I've done over the years, I've had success stories of students that have all met at my camps, and then they get accepted to Musicians Institute in Hollywood, or they're going to Berkeley, or they're getting gigs in their city, or they decided to make the big move to Nashville, Tennessee. And they're like, you know what? Your Crash concept really stuck with me. I just always remember Crash, and I can actually live my life like that. And it's so easy to remember. I just can use these 5 things and I can apply it to anything. So I'm like, great. Yeah. Commitment. If you're committed to yourself, to your goals, to your family, to your community, to your company, to your product, you're going to be able to write your ticket to success. Relationships. Remember that people are the keys. That's the answer to life. Finding those birds of a feather, finding people that are going to champion you. So go out and make friends. You can't have enough friends. And I constantly mix business and pleasure. People say, don't do that. And it's the secret to my success is I always mix business and pleasure. And then remembering about your attitude. Your attitude really is 99% of life. It takes twice as much as energy to cultivate and nurture negative thoughts. So I just tell people to try to stay in that positive space, because people are attracted to enthusiasm and positivity. Those people are usually happier. Happier people are healthier and they are more successful. So try to stay in that zone. And techniques you can use to stay in that zone are surround yourself with birds of a feather. I use colorful food. I like film. I like friends. I like exercise. I use these as tools to stay in that positivity zone. And then skill. Identify those skills. You need to be successful in your chosen field and master those skills. But don't get cocky. You have to make sure that you're keeping up with the Joneses and developing new skills like I'm doing in my midlife, instead of just saying, I'm a successful drummer. I was on the cover of that magazine. I'm always going to be working. I never get cocky like that. I'm developing these other skills in case my entire industry goes away. I have other things that are happening. And who knows? The music industry is kind of on its knees. Who knows what's going to happen? So I'm preparing for that. And then staying hungry for success, having that fire that burns in your belly to be successful. And I'd say that passion is your engine and hard work is your fuel. So fuel that engine with hard work, and which will allow you to work harder. And the harder you work, the luckier you get. So it's just, oh my God, I just got to commit to my craft. I got to find the people, the relationships. I got to stay positive so people will be attracted to me. I have to identify those skills to be successful, master those skills, and then stay hungry for success. It's like, oh my God, if I can live my life like this, I will be successful.
I love it, dude. That is so awesome. And I love it when somebody comes up with a very, very, very simple analogy, or a simple acronym is the word I'm looking for. That is so easy to remember, and the principles are so easy to apply, to life, so well done. Well done. Where do you think this is all going to take you, man? I mean, are you going to be the next Tony Robbins with drums in your hand, or are you going to stay in the corporate private gigs? How big's this thing going?
I kind of like the corporate private. It could happen because I've had drum camps where people sign up and there's a hotel package and there's catered meals and the kids show up in a limo and we do the event and it's this huge experiential thing. I've watched Tony Robbins's Be My Guru, his documentary, and I said to myself, do I want to do that on that level? I like this private gigs thing. I like the balance of my life where, oh yes, I'm an international speaker. A company from Mexico City can hire me. I'm going to go. There's the lights, there's the smoke. It's like a little mini rock concert disguised as a keynote. I'm doing that whole thing. I think for me, the variety is very sexy where I'm playing live, touring with somebody. I'm recording drums for other people. I'm doing my corporate keynotes on the highest level for Fortune 100 companies. I'm cranking out my books. I'm running my record label. And then I have a foothold in Hollywood where I ultimately want to be doing more hosting and some appearances on episodic television and films. So my latest thing is I played a cop on a show on the Sci-Fi Channel called Happy, and it's with Christopher Maloney, and he was like the brawny cop on Law and Order SVU, and he was on HBO's Oz, killer actor, and I was like thrown into the deep end of the pool. as a new actor. I've been acting for 4 years, and I'm in a scene with this guy. It was like a 12-hour day, and it'll probably all boil down to about, I don't know, 15 seconds.
Right.
But epic. I mean, to get flown to New York City to shoot in Queens in a real prison with a real prison guard suit with a real network, and this thing is going to be seen, and it's like I'm in the game there, man. So I think creatively, playing drums, producing records, speaking at the highest level, I'm cranking out my books, and then I'm going and doing my acting jobs with the possibility, like, you never know, maybe I'll be the next Mario Lopez or Seacrest, where I'm doing a lot of hosting. That feels very second nature to me. I love reading teleprompter. I love interacting with a guest and just being that kind of like masters of ceremony. I'm doing a lot of professional emceeing now, where I'm finally getting paid to MC corporate events and charity events and doing panel moderation. I just love it all. And so people are like, how do you do it? How do you keep your schedule straight? I said, I don't know, man. It's Tetris. I just pray to the scheduling gods, and all these cool things come in, and they're all different. They're colored in different ways. And it just allows me to interact with people, stay creative at the highest level.
That's so awesome, man. It's fun watching somebody step into their own fire. And what I mean is, actually go for it and chase it, find some success into it. I have a only thing I ever want to do in a movie is I want to be the guy in the background, so I can say I was in that movie. Yeah, I was actor 12.
Yeah, I have friends that live in Burbank, and they make a great living just doing background acting. It's like you show up, there's always snacks at craft service.
Right.
They have their benefits and their insurance through SAG-AFTRA, and they go and they're in the Big Bang Theory, and all they have to do is like pretend to talk in the background all day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very long day. I don't think I could do it. I'm not focusing on doing any background because I'm too on the move. I'd rather be like playing drums for somebody.
Oh, me too. I want to be the guy on stage. I want to be the guy in front of the rooms and all that. But someday I want to be in just one big movie. I don't want an acting part or anything. I just want to be the guy in the background that like just walks through, or gets knocked out by a guy in the scene.
Yeah, and you'll do it by not getting an agent and not having an actor.
Yeah.
You're going to get it because a buddy of yours is an executive producer on a new film.
Yeah.
Show up on this day. When this guy walks, you're just going to walk right across.
Right. It's just be my one cameo. That's it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to sign autographs for everybody and tell them I'm a famous actor.
Okay.
So, dude, this is awesome, man. What a killer story. What a great journey. It's just got to feel cool that you've accomplished a lot of the things that you set out to accomplish, and now, you're adding so many more things to your life and finding some success in those. That's just got to feel really cool on your journey.
It does. It is very, very nice to be able to, like, oh my God, a lot of drummers will spend their entire life trying to play on a number one song and hear themselves on the radio, and just to be part of this creative collective of like-minded people and to have a body of work like that, to be like, oh my God, I can hear myself on the radio 2-3 times an hour. I can hear myself in elevators and supermarkets and, at the gas station where I'm pumping gas. I was like, oh, that's me playing the drums. Like it's my childhood dream. Dude, you did it. It is pretty cool. It's pretty cool thing.
That's awesome. Well, Rich, I got to tell you, it's been a lot of fun having you on here. Here's how I like to wrap up every show, and I do stump some people on this. So.
Wrap up.
Yeah. So here it goes. So if you were going to leave the champions who listen to this show, people from all walks of life, 78 countries that are all chasing their dreams, chasing their passions, if you were going to leave them with a quote, a phrase, a saying, a mantra, something they can take with them on their journey, especially when they're stacked up against it and going through it, what would be that quote or phrase you would say? Remember this.
Do it and do it now.
I love it. Rich, thanks, buddy. I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your story with us.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. Please keep in touch, everyone. And to all the listeners out there, I'm a sitting duck on the Googleinator, just richredmond.com, crashcourseforsuccess.com, and just Rich Redmond on all the socials. Let's connect.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.
Thanks.
If you need content for your company and you're struggling to figure out what should I put out there, how should I put it out there,
or, what can I do to make my company get more exposure on social media? Go check out successchampions.us. Because of the podcast boom, several people are really looking into launch their own podcasts, their own shows, so they can get their own message out there. Well, why don't you come hang out with us? We've got a Facebook group called So You Want a Podcast. And, just go to Facebook, type in you want to podcast, and come hang out with a bunch of us as I teach everything that I've learned on my journey to running a successful, profitable show. So check us out. So You Want a Podcast. Looking forward to seeing you there.